Magic bass, sway to the beat. Hands up and praise who you wanna be. We're reaching heights unseen. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Feel the fire deep within. You're the key to where my trust begins. Join my dream, it's just the right time. Oh, oh, oh. Leave it all behind. Get ready now. Rise up into my world. Renew your definition. World so high, let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Off the ground and tap your feet. Look, stars are near when you feel the beat. We're bound for a greater height. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Take a leap into the blaze. Don't lose yourself in identity. Join my dream, it is the right time. Oh, oh, leave it all behind. Get ready now. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high, let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Leave it all behind. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high, let me show. And hear my declaration. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high, we'll show. And go beyond horizon. Side by side. Magic bass, sway to the beat. Hands up and praise who you wanna be. We're reaching heights unseen. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Feel the fire deep within. You're the key to where my trust begins. Join my dream, it's just the right time. Oh, oh, oh. Leave it all behind. Get ready now. Rise up into my world. Renew your definition. World so high, let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Off the ground and tap your feet. Look, stars are near when you feel the beat. We're bound for a greater height. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Take a leap into the blaze. Don't lose yourself in identity. Join my dream, it is the right time. Oh, oh, leave it all behind. Get ready now. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high, let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. sway to the beat. Hands up, embrace who you wanna be. We're reaching heights unseen. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Feel the fire deep within. You're the key to where my trust begins. Join me, dream, it's just the right time. Oh, oh, oh. Leave it all behind. Get ready now. Rise up into my world. Renew your definition. World so high. Let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Off the ground and tap your feet. Look, stars are near when you feel the beat. We're bound for a greater height. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Take a leap into the blaze. Don't lose yourself in identity. Dream and dream, it is the right time. Oh, oh, leave it all behind. Get ready now. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high. Let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Leave it all behind. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high. Let me show. And hear my declaration. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high. We'll show and go beyond horizon. Side by side. Magic race, sway to the beat. Hands up, embrace who you wanna be. We're reaching heights unseen. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Feel the fire deep within. You're the key to where my trust begins. Join me, dream, it's just the right time. Oh, oh, oh. Leave it all behind. Get ready now. Rise up into my world. Renew your definition. World so high. Let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Off the ground and tap your feet. Look, stars are near when you feel the beat. We're bound for a greater height. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Take a leap into the blaze. Don't lose yourself in identity. Dream and dream, it is the right time. Oh, oh, leave it all behind. Get ready now. Welcome to my world. Renew your definition. World so high. Let me show. And hear my declaration. No more ties. Leave it all behind. Welcome to